For the most awaited session of the conference, may I invite my dear friend Sandeep Chaudhary, CEO of PeopleStrong, to engage in a fireside chat with Jason Everbook, CEO and co founder at LeapGen. They will discuss how organizations can build a talent operating system that will help them navigate the talent economy. Yes, you heard it right. Talent operating system, because that's how complex talent is becoming today. Over to you, Sandeep and Jason.
Hi, I'm Sandeep Chaudhary from PeopleStrong. And before we begin the session, I want to take a moment and thank you for joining us from all parts of the world. In the post pandemic, digitally adapted, and a distributed world, talent still retains its position as the key asset for any company. In fact, the need for talent has really gotten accentuated. And as organizations prepare once again for growth, talent is becoming more rare than any other resource. It is not the lack of capital, but the lack of talent that is the real threat to growth for the best. Recognizing human capital as the key business driver, progressive organizations across the globe have been rethinking ways to mitigate the emerging talent risks in the talent economy. The pivotal focus of the discussion today will be to arrive at how organizations could best equip themselves to bridge the gap between people, strategy, and business outcomes with technology. We will explore ideas of a talent operating system that enables them to recruit, mentor, retain, and engage a future-ready workforce. And to do that, I have with me today Jason Everbook, a friend who actually needs no introduction. He's the CEO of LeapGen, a leading analyst and an author of a couple of bestsellers. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for joining us, and it's a pleasure for me to host you in this HR Tech 4.0 debate.
Sandeep, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be with you and love the work you do, love the work you do at PeopleStrong. So honor's mine to be with you.
Thank you, Jason. We're going to dive straight in with our question. And I'm going to start with the one which I think is on the minds of literally everyone who's attending this program today. What does today's workforce really need? I guess it is a question which has many answers, but more from a context of employee experience and how organizations and businesses have actually gotten transformed just over the last 24 months or so. How would you really go ahead and describe the need for us to be able to decode the workforce?
Yeah, Sandeep, it's a great question, and really, if the way that I look at this is really over the last 2 years, the workforce has gone through a massive revolution, and it's because of multiple pandemics. It's because of multiple changes in the world, But at the core, what does the workforce need more than ever? They need to be felt, and I know that's a tough word for some people to bring into the concept of business.
Right.
Felt, but employees need to feel. And what they need to feel is they need to feel that they're in a trusted space. They need to feel cared for. They need to feel heard. And probably most importantly, they need to feel that they can bring their best selves to work. In a world where work and life and work have blended together more than ever before, what we really need to do is make sure that that employee feels felt. And that's really at the core. Now, we could talk, and we're going to talk about ways to do that, but just to summarize at the highest level, and it's really a Maslow's hierarchy, what do I need? I need to feel cared for. I need to feel felt.
No, wonderful. I think that's beautifully said and almost kind of leads us into our next question. How do you see this play very differently across cultures in the world? From the Americas, where the technology adoption was relatively sooner than what we are essentially experiencing here in Asia, and especially in the Southeast Asia perspective, where the adoption of cloud SaaS has now started to move at a very, very exponential rate. Do you see this play very differently across the cultures that we're essentially talking about, from the West coming all the way to the East?
Yeah, Sandeep, I'm gonna bounce us back one level up before I bounce into technology, if it's okay.
Right.
Because technology is really the fuel that brings to life what I'm talking about. But your question around cultural differences is really, really important, and it's really, really crucial to understand. So if we think about where we are in the evolution of the employee life cycle, we work with organizations that are still in what we call a manufacturing economy, where the machines matter more than people. Now, for some of you listening to this, that was a sacrilege thing to say.
Mhm.
And I said it on purpose that way. But in many organizations, the machines still matter more than people. So what do? I focus on counting my people. I focus on headcount reports. As we move into the knowledge economy, people and what the rarities that someone brings matter more than the machine. And what I need to do in that regard is switch from counting people to making people count. From counting people to making people count. So really the question is not as much, to me, as a geography-based question. To me, a question is a type of workforce question, is a type of work question, and really, what does the organization value most from its people?
Right.
Now, if I could move on to the technology portion of your question, as we've entered the world of SaaS, what the software as a service model has allowed me to do is it's allowed me to push capabilities closer to the employee, closer to the manager, closer to the leader than ever before, without writing custom software. So if I take those two big levers, the fact that I want to switch from counting people to making people count, and I have the ability now to push capabilities closer to the workforce than ever before, to give them direct access to information that they need to bring their best selves to work, those two powers together make a tremendous opportunity and give us a tremendous opportunity in this space today.
Absolutely. I think, Jason, also what we are really experiencing in the emerging markets of India, Southeast Asia, Middle East, all the way to Australia and New Zealand, where we operate, employee adoption of technology has driven much of this change for organizations to rapidly adopt the new cloud SaaS solutions. In fact, the young population that we're dealing with in India and in Southeast Asian markets, the population which is grown under the ubiquitous influence of the internet and other modern information technologies, are actually asking, or rather forcing, organizations to bridge the gap, because what they experience in their personal lives as consumers is very, very distinct from what they actually experience, or the kind of technology or the digital environment that is provided to them as employees. And with that, really, I guess, my next question to you is, what role now do you see HR technology play in this new world? Have the expectations really changed, or is it more platforms like PeopleStrong that are actually forcing the change upon enterprises?
Yes, Sandeep, it's a great question. It's a combination of multiple things. The way that I like to approach it is to ask the simple question. It's 2022. It's the year 2022 outside of work. What year does it feel like inside of work? When it comes to getting things done, when it feels like having access, when it feels like getting answers to information, to questions, when it feels like being able to interact with tools. And what we find is we usually find quite a chasm between what it is in the outside world compared to what it is in the inside world. Okay, now if we take that a step further, what we say is we're humans outside of work, but inside of work, what are we? We're still humans. We're not inhuman. We're still humans. So our expectations have changed forever. because of what we're doing outside of work. Okay. Now, when it comes to inside of work, platforms like PeopleStrong have an amazing opportunity to truly put the tools, the capabilities, and the outcomes in the hands of employees, managers, and leaders. But I will share with you one of the challenges, and I'd like to share this just so that we don't sound tone deaf, is that we have to combine that with value. Okay, the reason that we use these devices outside of work is because they add value. The way you ask the question about HR technology. And most people, when they think of HR technology, think of technology for who? HR. So if we're really going to flip this and change the paradigm, I'm deploying capabilities for the modern workforce. Okay, they happen to be shepherded by the HR department, but they're capabilities for the modern workforce that add value to them, not value to me as HR, but value to the employee, manager, and leader on a daily basis. That's truly where the combination of expectations and adoption are going to collide to create value going forward.
And honestly, Jason, that's exactly what we had at the center. So, center of our innovation and our investment into building an AI-enabled integrated talent operating system. We said we really got to be able to break the silos, bring a seamless experience for an employee, for a manager or a leader who's there to actually be able to take the real accountability for performance and development of that employee across the entire the employee life cycle, from recruiting into onboarding, into learning, into performance, into succession, into career planning, and so on and so forth. Looking at that and looking at the pre-signs that we really need to understand around the performance and the succession and the career paths, what's your vision of really the real adoption of a talent operating system? Not just with what PeopleStrong has done, but largely has organizations in different industries started to realize that it's going to be technology that will make it hyper personalized for an employee, and not over investing in just building headcount and people capability in the HR department.
Yeah, Sandeep, my vision, which is really happening today, is that if tools like yours and others in the space are truly giving managers and leaders data, information, intelligence that they can use to keep their workforce engaged. I mean, let's not even say that. Let's just say to keep their workforce, and then to keep them engaged, and then to figure out what they need going forward. That's what's going to drive adoption. Sandeep, unfortunately, there's still a lot of people in the space that call what we're talking about here talent management. Old school talent management processes are dead. Old school talent management processes just to check the box that I've done my performance review, that I've done my succession plan.
Right.
Those are dead. I have to give people intelligence, information, and teach them how to use the output from tools like yours in order to really make those decisions. And that's my vision. I mean, it's my vision, but it's really becoming a reality quickly.
Yeah. Take quick 30 seconds and help me define what is a people-first digital culture?
So, Sandeep, it's a great question. So let's start with people first. If I say people first, that basically means I'm designing for who? People.
Right.
And in this case, I'm designing for the workforce. Okay, so let's break these things into two. First one is I'm designing for the workforce. The second piece around digital is to help people realize that digital does not equal technology. Digital is a combination of mindset. It's a combination of understanding your audience. It's a combination of journeys. And then it's the technology to bring that to life. So there's really two things there. There's the design for the workforce, not for me in HR. Understanding that if the workforce uses it, I'm going to have better data. And then the second thing is realizing that I can't just buy technology alone without changing some of my internal mindset. Okay. Otherwise, I'm going to just use the new technology to do the same stuff I've always done, which is the definition of insanity.
No, totally. And so would it, just for a quick summary of the audience, is it about bringing more data to serve people? Is it more data to take better business decisions? And is it actually building for the real consumer of HR tech, which is employees, and not just about simplification of HR for HR? Would that be correct?
Yeah, Sandeep, what I want is I want an ecosystem. And I want an ecosystem of, I'm going to call them 3 body parts: hands, heads, and hearts. Machines are really good at the hands work. They're really good at data. They're really good at collecting data. Okay. People are really good at the heart's work. They're really good at taking that information and making someone feel, back to my concept of feel, that they're very important. And then the head is a combination of where the data and the hearts meet. Okay, so if I think about hands, heads, and hearts, if I automate most of the hands work so that my people can spend most of their time on the heads work and the hearts work, guess what? I'm going to have a better workforce. The end of story. And all of that tied together means that I'm taking data, putting it in the hands of leaders, as you beautifully said, and empowering them to use that data and intelligence to make decisions about, like you said earlier, their most important asset, their talent.
No, thank you, Jason. I think very, very simply explained and very simply put, but I'm going to very quickly shift as we also come to the close of this conversation. Over the past few months, the phenomena, I think, which has dominated most conversations is around the metaverse, right? As the world, I guess, still is wrapping their heads around what this would essentially mean. Is this going to be the next big disruption that we will experience? To your point, between the felt and the count, between the high tech and the high touch, does metaverse help us create that, or actually challenges that assumption in many ways?
Sandeep, it's a great question. And one of the things that I love to talk about is this concept of high touch. And you can deliver high touch in a digital way, or you can deliver high touch in a human way. What we've done and what we're born with innately is the ability to deliver high touch in a human way. What we're getting better at.
Give me an example. Give me an example where technology has actually made it more humane for people.
Well, a great way, Sandeep, is for me on my Zoom little window here to put up a heart based on what you said so that you feel good about what you just asked me. That's a really simple way to say technology makes you feel a certain way. That's not a very sophisticated way, but it's a quick example. A really better example is when you're talking to a conversational bot and you say to the conversational bot, "I'm bored in my job." And the conversational bot can help you with a career path within that organization to figure out how you can stay engaged and stay part of that organization. That's an example of high touch digital, where I'm having a conversation with a machine, but that machine is doing a better job of showing me the career and the future opportunities than what a person's going to be able to do. Okay, so whether it's metaverse, hyperverse, just verse, we are moving to a world where our number one job is to design for, like you said, employees first, and figuring out if the best way to serve the employee is high touch digital or high touch human. It's going to be a combination, but at the end of the day, you're going to see a lot bigger shift to high touch digital going forward.
No, absolutely. And I think in conclusion, I would actually say that technology is here to build connections, build human connections, bring the real and the best of the people to enhance the business. And I guess that's fundamentally what is the purpose of technology, which will constantly be able to serve as a massive enabler in this mission around the world. Thank you, Jason. It's been very exciting having. Yes, please.
I just want to add one thing to something you said. Sorry. I love the way you said connection. And it's really important for everyone listening to this to realize that we in the past have used technology to get connected. What Sandeep just said, and if you can find vendors like PeopleStrong that do this, to shift from connected to connection building, those are going to be the vendors that are going to be the leaders into the future. Not just getting people connected, but truly building that connection. It was beautifully said, Sandeep. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to make that point.
No, thank you. Thank you for endorsing. And I think that's really our purpose as well, which is to bring joy, meaning, and energy to work. And we fundamentally believe we will be able to do that by constantly challenging the status quo and simplification and redesigning HR that is there to serve the needs and bring the best from our people. Thank you, Jason. It's been very exciting having this conversation with you. I love your energy. I love the clarity, the simplicity of thought. You surely have left us and our audience a lot to reflect on. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of this exhilarating chat with an international guru. And I hope the rest of our HR Tech 4.0 will continue to help you decode many myths, challenge the status quo, and stare at the reality at the future with great amount of confidence. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
I appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you, Sandeep and Jason, for this insightful conversation. It was really practical and highlighted the need for employees to be seen and bringing their best selves to work. People are the most important and vibrant asset which organizations can really capitalize on and change fortunes for themselves and the larger ecosystems. I think a lot of organizations will appreciate what Jason said. Jason and Sandeep, I could not have asked for more. Thank you so very much. Really appreciate it. Before we close the conference, I would like to thank all our speakers for their precious time and their rich content they shared with all of us. These learnings will definitely help us grow. I would also like to thank all our participants for being so interactive. I also want to take a moment to thank all our partners for supporting us on this journey, without whom we won't be there where we are. Team AppSee, HCX, Asian Business Partners, Team Enable, and PMAP. Thank you really from the bottom of the heart. In Melody Betsy's words, gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace for today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. With this, we come to an end of an exciting conference. Hope all of you enjoyed it as much as we did it in putting this together. A heartfelt thank you on behalf of everyone at PeopleStrong and People Matters. Take very good care of yourself and your loved ones and stay safe. And very soon, hoping that we would be able to meet in person in your respective countries. With that, signing off. Thank you.